What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be talking about M3GAN, a spoiler-free review about the new killer doll robot sort of PG-13 movie. Let's check it out. So M3GAN just dropped this week, and I was very anxious to see this. Now, this is a movie that is definitely trying to take the piss out of the situation, meaning that it is definitely aware of itself and was written to be a sort of so bad it's good sort of schlocky take, a ode to many films that we've seen in years past while trying to be funny and serious at the same time. Now, M3GAN is interesting because this is the same people that wrote Malignant, James Wan and Akela Cooper. They came back to do this movie. So I was very excited for that because I really loved the sort of so bad it's good flair that movie had. This is way more apparent than that movie. A lot of people had a little bit of issue with that movie because they thought it was supposed to be more serious, and so they tried to take it so seriously. This one actually does make itself pretty apparent in the comic department, but it also has a lot of stuff in it that is very on the nose and kind of important and also kind of different than you would find in one of these robot movies. Now, of course, this is directed by somebody else. It is Gerard Johnstone, who happened to also write and direct the movie Housebound. First off, what is the story about? Well, there is a girl named Katie who has a family that gets into a accident of sorts, and the sister has to now take care of the daughter of her sisters, and she's not exactly the most caring, loving, and used to spending time with people kind of person. She is a robotics engineer, and she is creating the newest toys for a robotics company. Now, she's trying to come up with one of the latest projects, and instead of trying to help her sister's niece, actually deal with the problems of parenting being lost, she invents a doll to basically fill in the gaps. And of course, like most of these movies, everything goes fucking wrong, and we get to see all the different aspects of how this doll is affecting not only the kid's life, but also the mother's life and everyone around them. And when I say that, there really is a lot of attention to detail with just how fucked up things would be in a child's life who is actually having a doll replace their family. The sister who's taking care of her niece is actually very cold. She's actually played by Allison Williams, who you may remember as the cold woman from Get Out, the daughter who is eating the weird cereal one bite at a time. She does great in this, being the sort of cold but funny and kind of, awkward aunt. And Violet McGraw is playing the niece, Katie. Now, this is a movie that has some weird kind of pacing to it. I think it's very important that these kind of movies delve into the sort of nuance behavior of this robot sort of turning into this bad thing and all the little different events that happen along the way. There is a lot of dark humor in this movie, and it is definitely for people who get that kind of humor. The so bad it's good crowd, the dark humor crowd. There is a lot of wonderful performances with the doll. It is very creepy in a lot of sense. We took Christina's sister's kids out to see this movie, and it really kind of freaked them out, It is a PG-13 movie, and I think in some ways that actually kind of hinders this movie in some respects, at least from an adult perspective. But for the kids, they thought it was fun, but not that entertaining. And I think part of that reason is while we're laughing and having a good time for all these really silly occurrences that are happening throughout the movie, the end really kind of feels like been there, done that. And it was a little disappointing to see where it would end up. Like in Malignant, it was this build, and break, and then chaos all over the screen. This is build, break, and then when you think it's going to take off, it kind of loses itself and what it's trying to do. But like I said, there's some nuanced things that happen in this movie that I've never seen addressed in other movies like this. Not in the Child's Play remake that they did, which is also sort of a dark comedy. They cover some things of how it really impacts the child's life and how she becomes disassociated disassociated from real people and not really dealing with the issues of her lost parents, while the aunt is like fumbling trying to get the daughter back because she's becoming so kind of dark-minded. And it's kind of cool to see what would happen with this doll. And you sort of also feel, because this doll is sort of coming to life, that, you know, they put this doll in situations that are kind of demeaning and, oh, it's just a toy and stuff like that. So it's a really weird dynamic that you're going to feel with the doll, the daughter, and the aunt. Like I said, the aunt is really dissociated from the daughter, and it's like very cold. And I can kind of see why they picked Allison Williams for this, because they needed someone to be cold and kind of soft at the same time, and an engineer to be sort of like so caught up in her work. So there's a lot of things that are in play here. There's a lot of dark moments with M3GAN. Obviously, you've seen the commercial, you've seen that it's almost like someone's wearing a mask playing a robot, which I think they did a really good job on. There is quite a bit of CGI in the face to kind of make it seem a little bit more realistic, to give you that sort of uncanny valley. They do a lot of moments in the film that kind of work with the eyes and her sort of paying attention to situations and how she deals with human beings in this environment. Paints a portrait of what? Now, there are some flaws, a lot of flaws with this movie that I think some people are going to maybe overlook just because it is funny and it is a wild ride in some regards, but I don't think the pacing really keeps up with that, and I think that's where it's really flawed here. It's a very condensed movie. It's not as big as I was expecting. I was expecting all shit to break loose in this movie and like get wild, almost kind of like how Child's Play does, and it gets into some ridiculous territory. I was really hoping for that, and I think it might be good for you to tone your expectation levels down. I have realized that some people have been marking this like, you know, wildly amazing, but I think, you know, just go in knowing that there's going to be some fun to be had here, but it's not going to blow you away. It is fun. I enjoy it. I'm definitely going to be picking this up for my collection, but I would say that this movie is probably about a 7.5 at the most, and only because it was a little disappointing. Like, I expected this movie to be at least an 8, an 8.5 even, with where it goes in the extra situations. Like, I loved seeing M3GAN so much play this cynical doll that is talking back to the aunt and everything and other human beings, that I wanted to see more situations like that, and I feel like they really skimped on it. Now, that may be a financial restraint. Maybe they didn't have as much money. This movie did come out pretty quick after *Malignant*, so who knows, you know, maybe they just didn't have as much money, and that's probably why they toned it down to a PG-13 rating so they could afford it. But there are some moments in the film that are kind of graphic and a little dark. There is blood to be seen, but nothing in camera, like, you know, as it's happening, so you're not going to see that. And I honestly think that there would have been some really good moments if we could have seen some of that gore. It didn't have to be so heavy-handed, but seeing a crazy doll like this, you really kind of want to see where it goes. So, but, you know, maybe they wanted to kind of appeal to kids. There are a couple of moments in this film that are kind of endearing and almost so overly the top Disneyfied, as far as like the doll does a singing number in the movie, which is so like Hallmark canned emotional kind of stuff, but is so perfect for the tone of this film. It's just too bad that the film has some pacing issues and doesn't go ultimately where I was hoping that it would go. You kind of expect this to grow, and just go wild, but it really kind of keeps it condensed. And I think for that reason, like I said, I 7.5 at the most, maybe even a 7, but I think it deserves a 7.5 because they really have done some things here, and some people might like it more or less depending on what you like or expect from the movie. So I try to go into these things without as many expectations, but, you know, after seeing *Malignant*, you know, there are some expectations to be had here. If you didn't like *Malignant*, maybe you'll like this one. If you did like it, I think you'll still find the value in some of the humor and stuff that's in this movie, because of course the writing team does a good job of really hammering home some of the ideas about what a doll really would mean if you were to have a robotic doll. So I think they did a really good job in certain areas, and other areas it just kind of flails in the final act. But it might be worth a watch in the theater, but if you're really kind of on the fence, maybe just wait till it hits a streaming service. I'm sure you'll be able to catch it then. But other than that, Let me know what you think. Are you interested in seeing this movie? Were you like, I don't want to see a killer doll movie or whatever? Why is this PG-13? It should have been R. I kind of agree with you, but it still is enjoyable, just not as much as I was hoping. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and thank you guys so much for coming by. And as always, long live the boys.